Start talking and talk fast, you lousy bum.
Oh, good Lord. I've been meaning to go back to this for a long, long time. Hi, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in. It's Marconi cliche, and I want to look at some, all the stuff that I like and other people have suggested that I watch, friends and family. For me, Doctor Who is one big, massive cliche as far as science fiction is concerned. I mean, they drew on a lot of those things that would be familiar to people at home. But I have to go back. I have to go back to the era that is home for me. There's so much of the series that I love. There's so many eras that that touch my heart and my feeling of nostalgia and things that I appreciate. Every era, for the most part, has something special for me, and this is the first. This is the first era. This is what I grew up on. Any number of Americans who are fans of Doctor Who, they think of the guy with the scarf. Yeah, I liked him. He was the best one. He was the one I was introduced to. He was my guy. And then the other one, and then the other one, and then the other one. There's something about this opening sequence. It's so crazy. I always thought of it as like going through all the parts of the brain. I don't know why. I just thought of it as that one brown circular thing. Part of a time-limited brain. It's just like getting into the beginning of a James Bond movie, which I never watched at the time.
Emergency. Come to the lab at once.
What happened before? What happened before? There's no traditional introduction to everyone. They're just these people. And he starts off so harebrained.
Yes, everything seems pretty quiet.
Count your blessings. It ain't gonna last that way. It ain't gonna happen. Oh, Liz, she was so sweet. As a kid, I ended up getting into British comedy. And Good Neighbors, as it was called in America, The Good Life. Felicity Kendall was one of the leads, and she was adorable. And so for me, well, growing up, I had a crush on Laura Petrie from The Dick Van Dyke Show, Mary Tyler Moore. And when it came to British television, it was Liz Sladen and Felicity Kendall. Especially when Felicity Kendall smiles. And for that matter, when Liz Sladen smiles. Oh, and this music, type of music, Dudley Simpson music, is totally Doctor Who to me. When I would later eventually go to watch Blake 7, it was recommended by a number of friends of mine, to hear the same style of music. I don't even know if Dudley Simpson did the music of Blake 7. He probably did. It sounds very much in that style. I'm just showing my son that these days, and going back to watch Blake 7 and feel that 70s British science fiction. Oh, how long, Doctor? You're supposed to be in the sick bay. It's a joy.
You may be a doctor.
See, it's quirky and it's funny and it's silly.
Look here, Doctor, you're not
and Tom, that lent itself to Tom's style and personality and his version of the Doctor extremely well. So much so that it became a problem.
Nothing's perfect. Have to take the rough with the smooth. Mind you.
Of course, as a Doctor Who fan, I ended up using that phrase a lot. And you just can't predict him. Which seems to be what you say about Tom. I don't know whether it was the line, but I think I definitely developed the attitude of not liking goodbyes. Either it takes on forever, or I just don't do them and I leave. Yeah, there's no dialogue, no flashing text on the screen, none of the robot talking to itself, signal stronger to the left, 30 degrees, none of that. It's just you get to see with the music and hear the effects. This is easy to watch this and just scoff at how cheap it looks, but these days it just looks old. The style of rooms and doors and security measures and all of that, it just looks old. So if my son watches this, well, it's just 1970s television, which for him is, might as well be 1990s television. But
We shall treat Miss Smith exactly as any other visitor.
We will kill her.
I'm the director, Hilda Winters.
See, it's kind of nice that
This
they
is
do the
Auntie
switcheroo
Jellicoe.
like that.
My assistant.
But it never was a huge part of her character, the whole feminist angle. But it's nice to see,
So,
she wants to be her own woman, and then she makes the same simple mistake that anybody could make.
Like, what is the third vital ingredient?
Some scientific gobbledygook.
See, Doctor, not even a rat could get through that cordon. Protected from every side and from above.
That still leaves one direction.
Well, why didn't you say any of this before? Why didn't you give them recommendations? Nice location. I mean, it's the pillars and the grounds. It's interesting how they do this episode. And they do it slightly different in the episode where John Pertwee establishes his beginning. With Tom Baker, he starts up and he's strange and he's different and he's regenerated, and they don't really pay that much attention to it. It's we get through it as much as we need to just get on with it. So they have the cliffhanger, the threat of the robot with Sarah Jane, and then they back off and they're like, well, they just said no. So they just staged it so, you know, you could give you a little scare. And now they really give her the scare.
It isn't human, you know. It has no feelings.
Oh, it's got a brain, hasn't it? It walks.
They
and
certainly
talks
don't need
like us.
chairs,
How can you be
because
sure
they
it
have no
doesn't
feelings.
too? Oh, please don't bother to see me out.
She's almost like she's taken on some of the Doctor's characteristics. See, it's funny when you get people saying how, well, Doctor Who is always, you know, the girls are always so useless.
I start looking.
Did you ever watch in the middle 70s?
Well, it's surely not
Even
that
earlier,
difficult,
too.
yeah? Oh,
There's something about the BBC sound effects from the Radiophonic Workshop. It always had taken my attention from early days when I was hearing the show's effects. I've always kind of been a radio guy, an audio guy, so that sort of thing does draw my attention.
I'm not really trained in this sort of work.
Oh, we better test it.
Jeez.
This time emphasize the
Put a lot of confidence in that. The guy's not really trained for it, but he's monkeying around with a
I found it wondering their kettlewell's place.
massive robot like
How
that.
touching.
You know, I didn't notice it just then. Was that a green screen or blue screen to show him through it? Show the robot right through it? 'Cause then they have a cutout that they put the camera through to show that he's on the other side. But, must be a real pain in the ass to be a genius-level computer-style robot with claw hands
Disintegrated.
and big lumbering
But there's
block
nothing
feet.
that could do that.
That doesn't sound like anything big and lumbering knocking at the door.
Superior types should rule. They're the best equipped for it.
And the inferior types?
They'd be guided, helped, kept away from harmful ideas and influences.
Ooh, elitism
For
with just a touch of
Your own
cancel
style.
culture
Is it
all
really
the way back
suitable?
in 1974.
Really? Well, we're covering a number of fringe organizations, and I'm sure we'll find a place for you. Somewhere between the flying saucer people and the flat
See, it's the funny part about this. The show does establish that there are aliens that they have visited and even invaded Earth, or attempted to.
yes, it does rather, but never mind.
So, how fringe are the people that think that the Earth has been visited by aliens and monsters and flying machines? And flying saucers and the sort of thing. But, you know, it's a standard, you know, knock on someone who is a
I'm
crank.
afraid I
So.
must disappoint you, Doctor.
No dialogue for you, Phillips.
Come along, Brigadier. I beg your pardon, Brigadier. I was just thinking.
The gags aren't hilarious, but they're funny. They're cute. They establish very easily,
Yes, of
very
course,
well
I'll talk to anybody.
who the doctor is or who Tom
Professor
Baker's
Kettlewell.
doctor
Yes, this is
is.
the doctor.
P.S. It is, of course, possible that this message is a trap. If it is, I can deal with it. P.S. I'm leaving this note in case I can't.
Oh, the idiot! He thinks he can cope with anything.
Right, we better get after him.
Well, he usually can, and especially in the new series, they definitely can. Well, except for all the times that he can't. It's, you know, fair enough. Impressive costume in certain ways, but when you show too much of it, I mean, obviously it's a man in a suit. There's no doubt about that.
You are the Doctor? Yes. Yes, of course. You are an enemy of the human race. I must destroy you. Please do not resist.
It's a good thing that nobody has their hands on this robot today, in this day and age. How many people would use a massive robot and tell it to destroy enemies of humanity? Even though they weren't enemies of humanity. Yeah, more people ought to see this episode, actually. Please do not throw chains at me. Now, he's a genius, but so you would think, well, why wouldn't he at least get a door open first before investigating the robot? But he has got this insatiable curiosity, so it's entirely believable. Hey, that box that's marked fragile falls off pretty easily. Obviously, that big box has got light stuff in it. Or that big massive robot is pretty strong. Well, very interesting uniform design. She wears a dress that's somewhat similar to, who is the wife of Clarence Over in Airplane?
Seek out and destroy.
Wonder what that symbol is supposed to be. I mean, it has a theme that's slightly different from another symbol theme, but it's also, roughly circular and has a hub.
To require the assistance of a member of the audience.
I ducked a little bit too early.
Now, with the help of my friends, I can make them.
Another environmentalist wacko trying to destroy and kill.
Kill them, of course.
I was surprised they were willing to,
Dangerous to us.
Couldn't we?
well, let's face it, take things to their logical conclusion. They're extremists too.
You see what I mean, Professor?
They would never do such a thing in the Jodie Whittaker, Chris Chibnall era. It would be unthinkable. I am surprised that fans don't call this out more with a "how dare you." How dare you for the invasion of dinosaurs, and how dare you for robot. They don't shoot head on. They don't shoot the tires. They don't shoot the engine. Because they don't want to hit, presumably they don't want to hit Sarah. But then they do shoot it when it's going away.
Be a useful hostage.
I see the lab coat guy has got a twisted little grin. Sadistic grin. Run away! Run away! Action tank! Action tank! I mean, the sound is good. The sound's great. It really helps that work. But, maybe you didn't need to see the wheels.
I brought along something that will deal with it.
I very much doubt it, Brigadier.
It's barely a foot long, Brigadier. That's what she said.
We shan't gain it without some sacrifice.
See, now I can't tell if they're trying to blend what they believe is traditional left-wing extremists and traditional right-wing extremists and smear everybody in the bunch. See, this is exactly how it happens. You get extremist lefties saying, our enemies? They're enemies of the human race. They must be destroyed. It's a dark thing that's going on right now, and if you don't laugh about it, then you're going to end up extremely distressed. Best part, best reaction. Thank you, Michael Kilgariff.
I have killed the one who created me.
We're going to need you to do it one more time, but with, could you really act, though? Really put some oomph into it.
Not impossible.
You are a show-off and a smart-ass and a braggart. That's our guy. That's Tom Baker's doctor. And is even a line that you could hear John Pertwee saying.
Keep looking, Benton.
I mean, some of the ideas are a little silly, because you have to agree, you have to assume that robots can sort of get emotion by one really, sweet and good-looking female character in the story. That's how they get emotions from a hottie.
He's not important.
I just want to see that guy's face. Not important. Thanks a lot, sweetheart. Yeah, all of that sophisticated, control board, computer systems, and clunky arms is a whiz.
Stay here.
Robot misogyny, robot patriarchy.
Should I report back? We're not going to need the doctor.
Shake it so we know it's working. That's what your mother said.
Earth is that?
Another piece of brilliance from the late Professor Kettlewell.
Kettlewell was a dork.
Right, Doctor.
He was a wrong-headed jackass. Reminds me of Oliver Platt in The Imposters.
Doctor, you're being childish.
Well, of course I am. There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
Well, that's a quote that a lot of Doctor Who fans
You can't.
cling to. It's a nice one. Yeah, that takes me back to the time, the era that I started with. It's a joy to see that again. I hope you enjoy it as well. I find it wonderful and silly and fun and exciting, even though I've seen them all before. And I wish the series would get back to that. Mostly, I wish the series would get back to being nice to its own audience, to its own fan base. But I can't solely hold Doctor Who in the crosshairs for that. I mean, I can look at them with that accusation, but they're not the only one. Doctor Who is not the only one. It's a prominent one, but there's all those other wonderful franchises that suddenly took a hook, a right hook at its audience. Crosshairs right between the eyes. Hopefully those days are behind us. Hopefully, if it's not behind us, it's slowing down. And I hope these franchises don't slow down and die. I just hope their attitude changes. There's so much fun that can be had with them. In any case, more fun next time. Maybe more Cobra Kai. There will be more Cobra Kai that I'll be looking at. But season 3 is already over, and I've just got a few more episodes to look at. More Doctor Who, but what Doctor Who? More Tom Baker? More from the 70s? Before the 70s? After the 70s? New era? There's so much to grab. There's so much to see, plus there's so many other series I really enjoy. And I hope you enjoy them as well. Please stop back and maybe we can enjoy some more together. I appreciate your time and attention, you folks. Until next time, take care.